Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome back to another unconventional Daily Shed episode here in my shed. Two big things have happened recently and I've totally failed to mention them, so I want to cover that right now. First big thing, check this out.
It's clean!
The shop is clean again! I have all of my space back. The games that were taking up that spot have now been loaded and are on their way to Columbus, Ohio for Origins Game Fair next month. So they're on a truck. They'll be on their way up there or next week. And I'll be headed to next week to follow up and finish, take care of the show. So the other big thing that I totally failed to mention yesterday, I don't know how we did it, is we hit 20,000 subscribers on Sunday. Can you believe that? And I don't know how I forgot to mention it. It seems like, well, it was just like a couple months ago. I had to sign up the handmade sign that said, 15,000 in January, and now we've hit 20,000. So we've gained 5,000 subscribers since January, and that seems pretty unreal. Like, I remember when the channel started, I had just under 10,000, and I was, I've always said that I don't do this show for money. I don't do this show for notoriety or anything like that. What I do the show for is my children and me and you guys, obviously, all of you. So, but the truth is, when I set out initially to do this, my thought was I had 10,000 subscribers with essentially no videos. And I thought, I really want a silver play button. And if I could get 10,000 with no effort, then I'll start this daily thing up and surely I can hit 100,000 in no time. That was my thought. Like, I was naive. I didn't understand how YouTube worked. I didn't understand the commitment that it would take. And honestly, after a couple of months, I didn't think I would ever hit 20,000. And here we are. It took a year. It took a year to gain 10,000 more subscribers, a little over a year. But I tell you what, it's totally worth it, right? I realized that the time that I've put into it is not wasted time, not at all wasted time. We've talked many times about how in the big scheme of things, this show is a flop if you're trying to make money or you're trying to become successful on YouTube. What I'm doing is a flop. It's not successful, but it's crazy successful for me, right? I have people from all over the world sending me amazing postcards. I have a wall full of awesome artwork that people have drawn for me. I have dozens and dozens and dozens of emails and voicemails and Twitter DMs and messages from people all over the world who connect with me, and that is worth way more than money. So I wanted to share a big thank you, like I always do. I tell you guys so much thank you, and I really don't think that you understand how much I appreciate it. So I loaded. I didn't tell you about the games. I'll tell you about the games. So where Keely was standing there, that was for the last almost year, had been a big pallet of games, and that is right where I've always dreamed of having a table saw. Something better than what I currently have. So now that space is clean again, and I have reclaimed it, it's time to start building out the shop to be a little bit more functional for projects like the bench build. And I had to load that stuff by hand. I'll run some video here while I'm talking about it. Essentially, I called UPS, all right, to give you an idea about how shipping works, how companies work when they go to a convention. I called UPS. I had 2 pallets of stuff you can see here on this truck. Essentially, like maybe 1,000 pounds worth of stuff at most. Essentially 2 half pallets of games, and then a bunch of folding furniture and shelving and all of our booth displays that we take with us. And that's what's on there. And UPS quoted me $2,200 to move that stuff. I don't know, it's maybe 250 miles, 200 miles. It's not extremely far, it's It's a 3.5 hour drive. And they wanted $2,200 to ship it. And then I have to pay warehousing fees and delivery fees and all this other stuff on top of that. Just to go to a convention, we have to just inject thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. And people don't really think about that on the back end. So I told them, no, I'm not doing that. I hired a local friend who has a fleet of trucks and a whole bunch of workers and said, hey, can you spare a guy for a day and ship some stuff for me? He said, absolutely. He said, I'll bring you a truck, you load it, and I'll take it. I said, okay. So, of course, I don't have a forklift here. As you can see, this is a truck with some pallets, and I'm loading games on it. And that took me a little over an hour to get both pallets loaded, wrapped, put all the paperwork together, and get it all set up. So, now that that's done, I have the space again, and I'm ready to start using it. So, some people had asked for a bench update. Honestly, last night I didn't do much. I finished milling up all the legs, which I think I showed you, but I actually got them all finished, sanded. I think these are still really hard edges on the legs. I think I'm going to do like an 1/8 inch roundover on these corners like I did on the bench top. I'm not positive yet though. We'll see how that goes. I'm still considering how I'm going to do the joinery here. My initial plan was to just do some butt joints. Just take my runners and they would, this is called a butt joint, just, and then screw through the ends. And you know what? That's probably good enough. But this is supposed to be a bench that lasts. And so the proper way to do this would be to cut a slot in here that's about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep so that the stretcher basically slides into that. And it gives it a heck of a lot more rigidity. So, I'm trying to talk myself into doing that. Because honestly, that's a big deal. Like, that's a lot of work to get everything lined up properly. I don't have a router table. If I had a router table, it would be dead simple to put a fence. Essentially, you'd put a fence that sets the depth this way. So it sets this depth. So the fence is here. And then I set a stop. So I just go, and then flip the thing, and there we go, I'm done. And all I have to do is take a chisel and clean up the corners. But I don't have a router table. So to do that, I have to make a router table. To be honest with you, I bought the materials to make a router table a long time ago. But I never bought the plate, the router base plate. So I might have to get around to making this router table before I make these, because I really think I want to do that. I don't want to just do butt joints. The other thing is, this being oak, I don't have a piece here that I can show you. Oh, Keely, over there by the miter saw, there's behind the bench top is some blocks. Bring me one of those. Yeah, perfect. Being that this is oak, if you've never worked with oak before, it's really, it does this. Let me see if I can show this to you. Focus for me. Hello, camera. Why you no focus? Okay, you see how that gets all like jaggedy, this stuff? And it comes off fairly clean, but it's still going to always leave little gaps. Now, I could put tape on the backside of this when I do the cut. I could put this on a board to help support the grain so that doesn't happen. And I could get cleaner cuts like on this side. This is the blade where the blade plunges side, and this is a nice clean cut. But that jagged cut is always going to be there. Hello, focus on me. And to do the butt joint, it's going to show up. It's going to look nasty. Whereas if I recess that, it'll hide that. You'll never see it. So I really should do the recess thing. The question is whether I will. This, by the way, is my little spacer that I planed down yesterday. It's almost 1/4 inch. And this is going to be my setback spacer for the stretchers. So I will lay this down on the table like such. And then my stretcher will go on top of this. So that'll give the... Keely's rocking the table. That'll give the stretcher a little bit of setback, like instead of being flush here and instead of being in the middle where it's way back, it'll just be back ever so slightly just to give a nice shadow line. So we'll see how that works out. And once I get that set up and working, I will try to keep you guys updated on the build because, you know, again, I'm not able to film it. I just need to get it done. Plus, I have to load a truck. I have to get ready to travel. Yeah, fun times. And you guys have been here for the ride, and I super duper mega ultra crazy appreciate it. I really, really, really do. So thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, sharing my videos with your friends so that we can get more people involved in the discussion in the comments below. Let me know how your day's been. Let me know how your week's been. Because my videos have been lackadaisical on topics lately. I'd love to hear what's going on in your life. Let's have a chat. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from lewisandclarkjournals.unl.edu. What did Sacagawea's name mean? If the woman's name was Sacagawea, the word might be Shoshone, meaning boat launcher. However, if the spelling is more properly Sacagawea, the name would be Hidatsa and translates as bird woman. The journal evidence from Lewis and Clark appears to support Hidatsa derivation. Shit. I'm terrible today.